announcements that we make headed forward. Now the security side is in the middle of almost everything, and it was nice to see the 3 sponsors outside are in the security business. You can't talk about cloud without security being in the middle of it all. And one of the most exciting things I think we have going on is around vShield and how vShield APIs fit right into the virtualization layer. So again, you're going to see some very exciting announcements from VMware and also from our partners around how they're building new technology into it. And really, the way to think about this moving forward is that instead of setting up physical firewalls and moving intrusion detection systems around, we'll have them be deployed as virtual machines, and they'll fit directly into the virtualization layer that you put there. And then lastly, I just wanted to call out one trend that some of you may be hearing more about. And maybe a quick show of hands, how many of you are reading about software-defined networks? It's becoming quite popular, and there are a number of startups that are happening. Folks like Nicira and Big Switch, and even Cisco just announced a, what do you call it, a spin-in, internal startup to create a business around software-defined networking. And I have to say I get very unhappy because there are newspaper articles that say Big Switch will be the VMware of networking. And I always respond that VMware will be the VMware of networking. Because we are doing quite a bit in the space. And if you look at the total port count, the number of servers attached to ports in the distributed switch that we have, it is one of the top vendors of switches anywhere, including the physical switches. So you can rest assured that we have a very big focus on allowing software-defined networking to really work perfectly within your virtualized environment. And a lot of it you can see today, some of the beginnings of it. But you'll definitely see as we roll out VXLANs, and even in the upcoming versions of some of our products, you'll see the ability to have a large flat network that is logical and that works across different environments, including across data centers. That's going to be a very big focus for us. So if anyone asks, you should say VMware is the VMware of networking. But some big announcements around that. VXLAN, if you haven't heard about it, it is a standard that we've created for allowing network packets to flow easily across multiple segments. So we encapsulate layer 2 packets within layer 3 for those of you in networking and allow them to be routed. So this is a way to create kind of VLANs as they were supposed to be without the scale limits and without some of the restrictions. So stay tuned. There'll be, I guarantee, a number of announcements. I'll be making some in May at Herrod, which is a big conference, but a big focus for us. Now, the next thing I wanted to call out is a little bit more on the marketing side, because I want to explain how we're thinking about the world right now. So in June, when we launched vSphere 5, we announced something called the Cloud Infrastructure Suite. And this is really more of a marketing term. Those of you that know our products deeply know that they don't fit as well together as they need to. Some of them have multiple databases, some don't look the same, some install differently. And what I can't stand is that Site Recovery Manager doesn't currently work with vCloud Director, as several examples. So, so what we are basically able to say is that we've created and acquired companies and led to a lot of individual products, but they don't work well enough together yet. So a huge focus for the company is really how do we make it become a suite. And Paul Moritz came from Microsoft, as many people know. He used to be in the middle of all of the big battles against WordPerfect and Lotus, and he used to talk about companies that had created entire departments that were choosing the right word processor for the company. Or they would go out and evaluate 1, 2, 3 versus Excel to choose the right spreadsheet for a company. And the way that Microsoft changed that world is by really making all the products fit together, and you could buy one suite that was for all of your users and it had all of their productivity needs built into it. It's not a perfect analogy, but that is what we're doing as we head forward. You'll see in the next releases and heading forward that the products really do tie very, very nicely together. They'll be sold together, they'll have the same installation process, that sort of thing. But the idea will be that every one of the products has to work much better together. And again, you'll see a number of announcements coming out around that. We'll also be adding, I'm going to spend a little time on VC operations and tell you how that fits into this as well. So maybe a quick show of hands, how many people have seen VC Ops? Oh, excellent. How many are using it today? Okay, great. More than I thought. That's Excellent. So we haven't announced our financial results yet, and since there are cameras, I definitely can't do anything there. But I would say that VC Ops is very rapidly becoming the most adopted new technology VMware's ever had. And the point of this tool is to help you manage a very complex and fast-moving virtualized environment. In fact, people use this tool for managing non-virtualized environments too, because it takes a different approach to how you would manage tools. So many of you that have been in the industry for a while, you know that traditionally you've used ITIL or you've had change management databases, CMDBs, and you would try to track every change that happens to a system, and then you would file a ticket if something goes wrong, and then someone would go test it. Well, what we realized is that in this world that is a lot more dense, a lot more virtual machines that are coming and going, certainly things that are moving around, you can't use the traditional approach to management. So we acquired a really interesting company that was in Armenia, and have really built a lot of tools around that product right now to create VC Operations Suite. And if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure people would love to show you a demo or explain it. But for me, I really think of it as doing two different things. The first is bringing a pretty simple dashboard view of how healthy things are. And health means that I have enough capacity, that things are up and running, and even that the performance is as it should be. So I apologize, you can't see it too well, but at the top, think of that as a very top-level dashboard. And the second thing it does is it warns you when things begin to look bad. And that's important. It's about when they might be coming bad in the future. And it does that by using some very interesting algorithms that take events from all over the infrastructure and do calculations as to what looks normal. And I think that's also a very important part about how the world runs. It's about what normal should be. And we do this by putting VC operations into your environment for, what is it, Massimo, 2 or 3 weeks? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks you have it in the environment, tracking how things are working. And it understands that at the lunchtime, things might go down, or at the end of the month or end of the quarter, things will go up. And it gets to know that that's normal so that it doesn't warn you when those happen. And that's really important. I asked a number of companies how many trouble tickets are filed during the course of the week. And it turns out more trouble tickets are always filed during the busy periods, during the end of the month or the quarter. If you can avoid those, then you can really focus on those things that matter. So VC Operations is really focused on that, but it also allows you to really dive in and find out where the problems are. So it's easy to provide a high-level view, but if you can't dive all the way down and find out what NIC is broken or where the storage specifically is full, then you'd be in trouble. So it tries to do both of those quite well. You can definitely expect some more announcements around this as we head forward, and we'll be building a lot of our existing tools directly into the same framework. Things like billing and capacity management will fit directly into this exact same model.